what type of, when you're talking to clients today, what type of strategies are you talking about as far as how the digital landscape is changing with the different platforms and stuff like that? Where are you kind of pushing them to direct their attention on, and what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I've been in this industry for a long time, so I've seen a lot of evolution. And I think back to like when I first started, it was very much like TV and print and radio, and like they didn't even want me in the room. I was like the distant cousin, and there was this whole belief that you couldn't be able to bring scale with digital or the audiences weren't there. And it's been amazing, obviously, throughout, the last, 10, 15 years of being able to see that change dramatically. Now, when I look at like marketing, we're big believers in like social at the center of what you do. When you think about where, culture is popping, it's happening within the social space. Where people are
Hmm.
spending their time, it's within the social space. So for us, we're really encouraging our clients to be able to like, one, kind of understand your audiences and understand kind of where they're spending their time. Right now, when you think about a large majority of the United States, it's within TikTok, within Meta, within Google, and
Hmm.
really and within those platforms, and really being able to have our clients be able to work with them to be able to figure out what makes the most sense of how we can activate within those platforms based upon business goals. But for us, it is about understanding kind of like platforms and culture as a way to
Hmm.
be able to truly create a brand that's going to resonate with audiences, like create relevancy. And that's really our goal, is to be able to build relevant brands for clients, and that is done through understanding the platforms and how they operate and how people communicate on them, and how do you get the most reach out of them, and then understanding kind of what's in those pipes, if you will, around culture of what's popping for different audiences, and being able to then create content against that. And content has really become the big creative has become like the variable
Yeah.
now. Think about things like there's only so much you can do with media targeting at the end of the day,
Right.
and it starts becoming like, okay, how can we be able to just try out different things against these audiences to be able to see what's going to help, push them over the finish line, whether it's thinking differently about a brand or a certain kind of call to action.
It's really interesting to think about how much that has changed, because before, especially like when I think about early TikTok, is like you could post some of our early videos, they would get a couple 100,000 views, and they didn't even seem that polished. But now it's like you really have to grab the attention right away, and it's just a different place. And I feel like all those platforms are always changing, and you never really know what's going to work on a given basis. It's really interesting for us because right now, Instagram is the best platform. We're getting the most amount of reach, the most amount of engagement, the most amount of views. And that's something, even with Gary's content, he's like, Instagram is tough. You know what I mean? But it's like, for whatever reason, we're hitting, I think it's because we're being very consistent with things. And I don't, whatever reason, the algorithm really likes what we're putting out and how we're putting it out. When you're kind of coaching people to use platforms, talk about the importance of using the in-app features, because I don't think everybody takes advantage of that, or they want to make one video and just put the same video out to all the platforms. Can you talk about that for a
Yeah,
little bit?
yeah. And just one going back to your point around kind of early days of TikTok, I often say to people, I'm like, beachfront real estate only happens once.
Yeah.
And and it comes back to like underpriced attention.
Okay.
And like, so when you think about it, you have like more audiences versus creators that were happening on TikTok, and now it's kind of it's changed a little bit where you have more creation happening, and so it is one of those things where it's like I've looked at over the last couple of years. Yeah, it's harder to get those eyeballs. You have to be much more sophisticated in what you're thinking about in terms of like thinking about your hook, thinking about like trying different caption copy, being able to understand, to your point, like the in-app features, being able to understand
Hmm.
CapCut, being able to like it's interesting when you think about like how music licensing works across TikTok and Instagram. It's not the same music libraries, and so you can't just simply take a TikTok you created with certain music and just dump it onto Instagram. Many times they're taken down for like either copyright violations or other types of. So it's really important, and there's just nuances, you know. So I think it's really important just to be able to understand the nuances of those platforms, and being able to also understand what are those platforms pushing right now. You know, it's like if all of a sudden IG is pushing a bunch of stickers, well, start using stickers, you know,
Right.
because that's like they're trying to push attention to there. So I think it's really important to understand what sort of feature sets are being pushed within these platforms or formats, and then being able to lean into them. Whenever you see a platform introduce something, go do it because that's important to them. It's like when you think about like when YouTube rolled out YouTube Shorts,
Yep.
yeah, they were pushing a lot of eyeballs to
I
that
know.
format. And so it's just, I think we really preach the importance of like understanding what's going on the platforms, and then being able to like lean into the formats or tools that they're introducing, because that's where they're emphasizing. And I always, you know, say to a lot of people, I'm like, just watch my boss Gary. Gary, you know, whatever Gary is testing, there's always something behind it. He's a very thoughtful person in terms of thinking about content and formats. If he's testing something, go do the same, because
Right.
he's basically has a reason why. So pay attention to the platforms, and really be able to use their platform native tools. But also, as I said, understand if they're out, they put a PR around something, or they're putting, highlighting the importance of using something, go for it.